So the other day I was talking about some chassis bracing and why you may or may not want it. You probably don't want it because it reduces the ability to put stuff in your car. But at the same time, if you're not using the car for hauling people, then maybe you use the car for other things, right? We're going to be removing the newly installed seat bottom brace. And in order to do that, I actually have to pull out some other pieces like trim molding and like this rear strut bar as well. So when prototype building is kind of fun. Like, I really enjoy the idea of just having a problem to solve and then figuring out the way to fix that problem. One of the most awkward things about filming videos is that I'm always holding the camera, so I only have one hand to do things. So pulling this out. Right, here you go. Right, now it's out. So the next thing I have to do is remove some of the clips on the side there. We're gonna go into like how this is designed and how this is mated to the chassis using the OEM brackets and things. Now I realize we're pretty deep into the car, but that's just how it is. If you guys know how to take out the rear seats, then it'll make things a lot easier. Take out the rear seats. Typically it's just these little clips here that you have to pull like this, and then there's a hook here that you pull the seat cushion in. All right, so we're pretty deep in. I want to be able to get behind here so that I can access the tie points behind this panel, and there's one on that side as well. So the way to do that is there's this clip here. Just pull this out. Everything just kind of pops out. Okay, for this trim mold, it's literally just pull and pray. Gotta find a good spot though. Here you go. Now these like angled clips that you can just pop back in later on. Down here, this is how I've done it. I've bolted in with some washers to spread the load out. I go get that 10 millimeter. So I'm about to unscrew this center piece to pull out the bracket there, the split bracket that I call it. And this bar is mounted into the side seat brackets that are connected to this main beam on the side of the car. So this is where it's going to get some of its structural rigidity by tying the left and right side of the car together. And the bonus is that it's tied in the center as well. And then, yeah, bracing. It's an interesting subject. And it's more like a structural kind of thing, right? These are micro optimizations that any automotive or would-be automotive engineer would have to think about. So this is, I guess, if you want to call it tuning, refinement, application specific stuff. Enjoy it. The next thing I have to do is loosen up these 3 bolts here. That's just to allow this bracket to come a little bit looser, because when I cut these bars, I cut them to very tight specifications. So in order to install and remove this bar, it does take quite a bit of unbolting, but that's half of the fun, isn't it? Bolt-ons. The final trick is the way that this thing is tied together, right? There's a threaded rod in the center here. Et voila! The bar is out. So now just imagine this entire rear end completely empty, right? If I took that blue bar out, you can see that the rear end of the car is basically just a big open box, like a big cardboard box just flopping around. It's not cardboard, it's sheet metal, right? But it's only held together with tack welding, some sort of bonding agents, right? And you know, there can be improvements. All right, friends, welcome to part of my backyard. This is where I do some of my painting. Just use some steel wire and then tie whatever you need to, and you get full access, right? 吊住喺度好似燒豬肉。These are the seat brace bars that I just debuted the other day, and this is the center split seat bracket. I painted it black. Actually looks pretty good with this just simple black primer. Anyway, I wanted to share the way that I attached these tubes together, right? Like tube connection is kind of like a weird thing. You want it strong, but you want it flexible enough to be able to join it with some sort of fastener, right? This is something from the bicycle world. It's called a star flanged nut, and typically it goes in your steer tube, your fork, and once it's set in there, you can't pull it out, right? So I've tapped one on each side of this 1 1/8 inch outer diameter tubing, right? And so I'm able to put an M6 or a metric 6 bolt right in there, threaded in. So that's the way that I put things together. This is that fork steerer tube with that flange nut inside, right? That's typically what we use in the bicycle world to keep our steer tubes from falling out of the frame. You know, there's a headset and a bearing and everything, but yeah. I don't know. How many of you Subaru people enjoy bicycles? Put up your hand. So here's the hardware that I use. It's basically a M6 bolt and 2 thin washers, and then another 2 more washers to spread the load out. Okay. I'm gonna cap both sides on each end. And this is the final product I have here. It's orange and black, just in time for Halloween.